Okay, so welcome back to all of you guys. And it looks like we'll have some more people probably come in a little bit later. But I'm going to share this next topic with you guys about how to determine if you have attained enlightenment. Because if you're going to journey towards enlightenment, you would like to know once you've arrived, right? If you're headed to a certain town, you would like to know, like, I'm at this town. Like, I've arrived to my destination. So this is a talk that's going to help you to be able to see when your mind has actually gotten to enlightenment. Because all the way along the journey, you're going to be experiencing improvement to the condition of your mind in your life. But there does come a time where you can see that you actually have gotten to enlightenment. So these are the things that you'll be able to know, is that by the time someone gets to enlightenment, they won't stop practicing the teachings. It's not like you run a marathon and you cross the finish line and you're like, I'm never going to go run again. Wow, that was hard, right? It's not like that. It's like by the time you get to enlightenment, your mind will actually be practicing the teachings effortlessly. And you won't stop practicing the teachings. You'll just always be practicing them. One of the ways to think about this is it's like your mind has been upgraded. If you had an old computer and you were upgrading your operating system to your computer, when you first upgrade your operating system, it's kind of like a bit challenging. It's like, where did they put those icons? Where are those settings? You're trying to figure this out. And for about 2 weeks or so, you're trying to figure out where this new operating system has all the settings. And you might even be a little bit frustrated depending on where you are in your life. If you weren't enlightened, you might be a little bit frustrated when you're trying to figure out that new operating system, because it's a challenge to get up and running on that new operating system. But once you get up and running on that new operating system on your computer, you're like, wow, this is so much easier. You're like, they should have changed this a long time ago. This was like really great, right? And now you can effortlessly navigate that new operating system on the computer. Well, your mind is the same way, that when you're journeying on this path to enlightenment, it's like upgrading your operating system in your mind. And by the time you've upgraded your mind, you're now practicing these teachings effortlessly. On the way to enlightenment, there was a lot of challenges and a lot of struggles. Letting go of these cravings, desires, attachments, the things that the mind's holding on to, it's a real challenge to let go of these things and train your mind to have these qualities that the Buddha's teaching you. But then after having transformed your mind, you'll be doing that effortlessly, and you'll never stop practicing the teachings. It's like it is physically impossible for you to stop practicing the teachings of the Buddha by the time you actually have upgraded your mind to this new operating system, this enlightened mental state. You'll be fully practicing the Eightfold Path, which includes the 3 Universal Truths, the 4 Noble Truths, and the 5 Precepts. You'll be practicing this flawlessly by the time you get to enlightenment. So you'll know what that is, and you'll be practicing it closely. So one of the things you might decide to do is commit the teaching of the Eightfold Path to memory. Work on this to really memorize the Eightfold Path. And one of the things that students do after studying it for a period of time is they'll sit down with me in a private discussion, and they'll say, all right, David, I'd like to kind of like confirm that I know this. Can I kind of like teach you the Eightfold Path? It's like, sure. And I'll sit there and listen to you, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's in live in person, and you can walk through the Eightfold Path and confirm that you've understood it, because you wouldn't be able to practice it and thus experience the results if you haven't committed it to your memory. So that's one of the first things that people will do on their journey to enlightenment, is commit this to their memory. But by the time you get to enlightenment, you'll know this inside and out, backwards and forwards, and you'll be practicing it flawlessly. When you fully attain enlightenment as an arahant, that's what the Buddha refers to an enlightened being as an arahant, because they've trained their mind, you will have purified your mind of the 10 fetters. Those 10 pollutions will be completely eliminated from the mind. So in order to get to that point, you will need to know what the 10 fetters are. You will need to know what the symptoms of them are, how to eliminate them, and how to know that you've actually eliminated them. So the retreat that I teach each August, I spend about an hour to an hour and a half on each one of the fetters. I explain to you what it is, the symptoms, how to eliminate it, and how to know that you've actually eliminated it. But all that stuff is based on the foundational teachings. So by the time you've gotten to enlightenment, you've fully purified your mind of the 10 fetters. So right now, if you don't know what the 10 fetters are, you don't know what the symptoms are, you get angry, you get frustrated, you get agitated, your mind's not yet enlightened. But by the time you get to enlightenment, you will have fully purified your mind of these 10 fetters. So you will know what they are very clearly and how to eliminate them. And your mind will be completely peaceful, having eliminated them. You will have cultivated the mind to practice what's called the Brahma Viharas. These are 4 healthy mental states that you cultivate in the mind that antidote certain problems in the mind. The Brahma Viharas, or the 4 healthy mental states, are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And I teach those in some of the various programs that I share, like Harmony in Relationships. I teach it in there. I teach it in the group learning program and some of the other things. I teach it in this book. You can learn it. It's in chapter 14 of the book, that these 4 healthy mental states are antidoting certain aspects of your mind, like anger, hatred, ill will, indifference, jealousy and envy, overactive mind. These are all helping you to antidote those. So the Brahma Viharas are something that you will be fully understanding and practicing by that time. You will also fully be practicing the 7 factors of enlightenment. You guys just learned that as part of the 5 hindrances talk. So you would know what those are and you'd be practicing them. So you'd have that tool in your tool belt, but you'd be practicing them regularly. And then the biggest way that you'll know that your mind is actually enlightened is that you won't be experiencing any discontentedness. It'll be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. There's no frustration. There's no agitation. There's no annoyance, even the slightest ickiness in the mind. You know, you wake up and you just kind of feel off today. You won't have that in the enlightened mental state. Your mind will be fully functioning optimally, and you won't be experiencing any discontentedness whatsoever, not even the slightest ickiness. And it'll have been like that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And the way that this actually is occurring is gradually. So you'll go through periods of time where it'll be like a few hours that you will be experiencing this, where your mind's like quite peaceful and quite joyful. But then because you're not enlightened, you'll experience frustration, right? And then you'll experience several weeks or several months where your mind's quite peaceful and joyful. But then you're going to get discontent. You're going to be annoyed or frustrated about something. And you'll look inward. You'll figure out what those cravings, desires, attachments are. You uproot them and eliminate them out of the mind. And you'll get more time. You'll get another month or 2 or 3 or 6 months even. You can go without any discontentedness. And then you'll just get a little bit of ickiness here and there. But eventually, it'll have been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, no discontentedness whatsoever, and you'll know that you're enlightened. But I encourage you not to ever convince yourself that your mind is enlightened. Because all the way up towards the end of you getting to enlightenment, you're going to have conceit in the mind. Conceit is part of the ego. That's the arrogance. That's the pride. That's the boastfulness. That's the measuring and comparing, thinking that you're above people or thinking that you're below people. This is the mind kind of like wanting a pecking order in your day-to-day life. That conceit, that ego, that arrogance is going to want to make you be convinced that you're more enlightened than you really are. So that ego is going to be constantly in there trying to tell you that you're more enlightened than you really are. And now, because of that, it's self-sabotaging, that it makes you think that you're more enlightened than you really are, and you're not actually doing the work that you need to grow and develop and actually get to enlightenment. So if you convince yourself that you're enlightened and you're like, all right, game over, I'm enlightened. Well, now when you experience difficulties or struggles, you'll ignore it. When you see that little bit of discontentedness coming into your mind for 30 seconds, you'll be like, nah, that's not discontentedness. I'm already enlightened, right? And you'll just kind of ignore it. Where if you don't convince yourself that you're enlightened, you'll see it. You're like, there's some issues over here. Let me go fix that. It's kind of like that game Whack-A-Mole. I shared this with you guys earlier in the week, where like that game Whack-A-Mole, where the moles come up and you have the mallet and you're like, boom, boom, boom. And each time it pops its head up, you knock it back down. Well, if you think game's over and you're just kind of standing there with the mallet to your side, when that Whack-A-Mole comes up, you're not going to be able to whack it and knock it down. So if you convince yourself that you're enlightened, you're going to miss it. Those little dust in your corners of your mind, where your mind's a little bit agitated here and there just for a few seconds, you're going to miss it if you convince yourself you're enlightened. So just always and forever be developing wisdom and cultivating your mind. And you can do this if you never convince yourself you're enlightened. The Buddha teaches you that once you get to enlightenment, you will know that you're enlightened. And he explains this in multiple different ways. And you will know that your mind is enlightened. But just don't allow your mind to convince you of that. Just always be cultivating wisdom. Because what led you to getting to enlightenment is the cultivation of wisdom. And that would have been a multiple year journey of cultivating wisdom to get to enlightenment. So by the time you get to enlightenment, You're not just going to be like, all right, I'm done cultivating wisdom, and you're just going to stop cultivating wisdom. By the time you get to enlightenment, you will fully understand the path to enlightenment, and you will have complete wisdom about the path to enlightenment. But there's a whole lot of other things to cultivate wisdom about in this world. It's not just the path to enlightenment. And by that time, your mind's going to be performing optimally. You'll have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. So no matter what it is in the world that you're interested in cultivating wisdom about, you'll be able to do that. If you've always been interested in flying a helicopter, but you never had the confidence that you could actually fly a helicopter, well, by the time you get to enlightenment, your mind's going to be performing optimally. And now you have all the wisdom about the path to enlightenment. If you'd like to go fly a helicopter, go fly a helicopter, right? Go learn how to do that. You cultivate that wisdom. There's other things in the world that you can cultivate wisdom about besides just the path to enlightenment. So if you're always growing and learning and developing and cultivating wisdom, you're always growing in the world. And there's more things than just the path to enlightenment to cultivate wisdom about. So when you get to enlightenment, you'll know that your mind's enlightened, but it's best to never convince yourself of that, and just cultivate wisdom all throughout your life about any number of things. So that'll help you to ensure that you're not missing that discontentedness that's coming up. So this is just kind of like a shorthand way to know that your mind is enlightened. Do you guys have any questions on any of this stuff? No questions? Okay, let me see if we have anything online. Okay, hello to everyone online. All right. I don't see anything online. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you guys how to integrate the teachings into your day-to-day life. This is like the continuous ongoing work to be able to really reap the rewards and the benefits of having learned and practiced the teachings, because you'd like to integrate these teachings into your day-to-day life. So what you would like to do is attend weekly classes, either in person, or nowadays we have online classes, and then there's in-depth learning opportunities that you can attend, like something like this, a 5-day course. This is an in-depth learning opportunity where you can learn for 5 days continuously. But then you'd like to kind of trickle the teachings into your mind too. So that's where, like, we have the group learning program and the Pali Canon English study group, where you can just kind of trickle the teachings into your day-to-day life. But then you'd like to kind of also focus for 5 days or something like this on a more in-depth study. And that's what these courses are for. So you'd like to be actively bringing the teachings into your life through regular classes, courses, and retreats. Then this first book, this is the best way to really get started, is Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. You can get it for free by downloading it from our website. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon. And you'd like to be reading this like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. You don't need much more than that, because remember, you're not reading for completion. You're actually reading in order to independently verify the teachings. That if you took a big bite, like if you sat down and read for 2 or 3 hours, that's a whole lot of content to independently verify. So if you just take little bites, like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, it'll be easier for you to digest, and it'll be easier for you to reflect on it and independently verify it. A lot of these chapters, you can actually read the entire chapter in 15 or 20 minutes. So even if you sit down and you have this overwhelming urge to read for an extended period of time, just restrain the mind and don't allow it to do that. There were times when I sat down to read the Buddhist teachings and I was only intending to read for 20 minutes, and I would sit down, in the first 2 or 3 minutes, I would come across something and I'd be like, whoa, that's deep. I need to step back from this. Even though I was planning to read 20 minutes, I was like, no, I'm not reading anything more. I'm going out there in the world. I'm going to independently verify if this is true or not. And I would take 3, 4, 5 days to be able to independently verify it. So you might need to do that sometimes. So just take little bites, little bits and pieces of the reading. That's really all you need to get started. And then there's a whole 13-book series that you can gradually read little by little, but it really starts with this first book. Then you would like to practice generosity on a daily basis. You're going to need to frequently be practicing generosity, where you're sharing your time, effort, energy, and resources more than is strictly required without any expectation of anything in return. So The only reason to practice generosity is to enhance the quality of your mind. It's training your mind to let go. That's what's going to help your mind to let go. So you can integrate this into your life in easy ways. Don't feel like you have to put in all this effort to practice generosity. So like if you're at the market buying yourself some mangoes or bananas or pineapples, just toss a couple extra in there for your neighbor or your life partner or your coworkers or something like that. It's really easy. It only takes an extra 15 seconds or 30 seconds to do that. Or if you're on your way into a store and you're opening the door and you see there's someone behind you, just take an extra 5 seconds and hold the door for the person behind you. This is the generosity that you can be integrating into your life on a day-to-day basis. Generosity doesn't have to be money. It can actually be your time, effort, energy, or resources. Maybe you're headed outside to go to work in the morning, and maybe you notice that your neighbor has trash all over their yard. Maybe a raccoon got into their trash can or something. Hey, go over there and pick up the trash. Maybe they're not even home. Maybe they're on holiday. You just pick up the trash, put it away. You don't even have to tell them that that's what you did, because you'd like to practice generosity without any expectation of anything in return, not even a thank you. Because if you're standing there holding the door for that person to go into the store and they don't say thank you, and you have an expectation that they will say thank you, if they don't say thank you, you'll be frustrated. You'll be agitated or annoyed because you have an expectation. You want every single person to say thank you. And that's the mind craving permanence. And you're not going to get that. Some people will say thank you when they go through the door. Other people will not. Right? Maybe you say thank you when you go through the door, but not everybody will. So when you're practicing generosity, do so without even the expectation of a thank you. You're just doing it for the enhancement of the quality of your mind. And there's multiple ways that you can do this. What you're going to notice is frequency is more important than the amount. So if you were going to donate, say, $500 once a year to an orphanage, you actually get much more benefit if you do that $1 a day. Each day of the month, right? Because your mind's having to let go more frequently. Or say you're going to donate $3 over the course of your day. It's better to drop 50 cents or $1 in each individual donation box that you're seeing throughout your day, because your mind's having to let that go more frequently. If you're noticing that you take your clothes out of the dryer or it's drying and it rips and tears, and you get frustrated or agitated about that, that shows that your mind's attached to your clothing. And if you start practicing some generosity with your clothing, start giving it away, it'll train your mind to let it go. Right? So you would like to pay attention to your mind, and where you see you're hoarding things, you would like to train by practicing generosity. So one of the common things that people tend to hoard is food, because the unenlightened mind functions very much like an animal. We're not animals, we're human beings, but we tend to function like an animal. We tend to hoard our food. So one of the great things to be able to share is when you're sitting down with people for a meal is like share your food. This will train your mind to let go. So you can find ways to share all throughout your day, and you just need to be creative and find ways that makes it really easy for you, like including those extra mangoes into your bag or those extra bananas or something like that. Then the Buddha teaches you to integrate these teachings into your day-to-day life to practice good, wholesome moral conduct. Because as long as you're doing unwise things with your moral conduct, it's like I said, it's like spewing oil all into the world, and you're going to need to clean that up. You're going to need to shut down the pipe of spewing oil. So the Buddha teaches you in the Eightfold Path, right speech, right action, and right livelihood. You would like to really pay a lot of attention to that, because once you establish right view, which is to understand the Four Noble Truths and what's truly causing your discontent feelings, those 4 statements where the Buddha teaches you the problem, the cause, the elimination, and the path forward. Once you see that very clearly and you've penetrated into that and you've had that breakthrough to understanding what's causing these feelings, the very next thing that he teaches you is moral conduct. That's why I've been talking a little bit today about meditation, because people oftentimes jump into meditation and they're just like so enamored in meditation, and they're just meditating, and wondering why they're not getting to enlightenment. Well, the Buddha didn't teach meditation until like the 3rd thing. That was like the 3rd thing that he taught. He taught you first right view. Then he taught you moral conduct, because you need to improve your moral conduct. Then he taught you meditation to be able to train your mind with the meditation. And all these things are working together simultaneously, but you need to be working on your moral conduct and the way you interact with people, because each time you interact with someone, there's gamma being produced. Whenever you have contact, there's gamma being produced, either wholesome or unwholesome. And you would like all your contact to be producing wholesome results for you, or wholesome gamma. So you need to be sure that you're paying attention to your moral conduct so that you can interact in wise ways that's producing wholesome results for you, or wholesome gamma. Then yes, the Buddha taught meditation, and that's important. That's an important part of your practice, so that you're practicing meditation 2 or 3 times a day for 30 minutes or more. And for some people, that sounds like a lot, particularly when you first start. It can sound like a lot. But there's probably some unbeneficial things that you're doing in your life right now that if you kind of cleared those things out of your life, you would actually have more time to meditate. If you're spending 2 or 3, 4 hours on YouTube or Facebook or scrolling social media, if you reduce that to like 30 minutes or an hour per day, you probably will have a lot more time to do something more beneficial like meditation. So remember, it can take you 6 months, a year, even 2 years to gradually build up to this, where you're gradually increasing your meditation over time. And same thing with generosity. It's frequency that is more important than the duration. So if it's a matter of 1 meditation for 30 minutes or 2 for 15, you're going to get more benefit out of the 2 for 15. So if you focus on that and then gradually expand your 15 minutes to longer and longer, that'll help you the most. So frequency is more important than duration. So gradually build up your practice. Starting with breathing mindfulness meditation, about 4 to 6 weeks, build up your breathing mindfulness meditation, and then you can bring in loving kindness meditation after that, once you've got a really stable breathing mindfulness meditation practice. And then as you need help, you can seek guidance from a teacher, because you're not going to be able to get to enlightenment by yourself. It's only a Buddha that would be able to get to enlightenment by themselves. And that's very rare in the world. The last one that the world's currently aware of existed over 2,500 years ago. So you're going to need teachers and guides to be able to help you. A Buddha can get to enlightenment by themselves. They're then going to dedicate their life to sharing their independently discovered teachings with countless people. Then they're going to preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people can get to enlightenment after their death. You're not a Buddha, so you're going to need help. You're going to need guidance. So find somebody that you trust and that you have confidence in, that you can have access to, and you can see that this person's willing to help you to be able to get to enlightenment. So you're going to need to seek guidance from somebody along the journey. So do you guys have any questions on these things to be able to integrate the teachings into your day-to-day life? No questions? Okay. So next, I'll just share with you guys how you can get continued support beyond this course, because now we're bringing the course to an end, because you're going to need that continued support. You're going to need help along the path. So these are all the options that I share to be able to help you, and they're all available to you at no cost. There's books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, and quizzes. These are all available and accessible to you. Our website is like a central hub. You can get access to all of these things. As you've heard me share, you can download the books for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get the printed versions here by reimbursing us, or you can get it on Amazon. Essentially, what we use your money for is to go buy more books so that people can actually acquire the books. So all these things are available at no cost. You can get access to all of them from our website. We have in-person and online classes, courses, and retreats that you can regularly attend. Those are also available at no cost. I also travel. I not only teach in Thailand and online, but sometimes students invite me to travel. And whenever you see me teaching anywhere, it's always at no cost. So like when I went to Mexico or the USA or anywhere in Thailand, anywhere you see me teaching, it's always available at no cost. That's part of what I talk to people about when they invite me, is I make sure they do it at no cost. So usually someone's sponsoring me to come to a particular place, and then I go there and I teach, and anybody can come join the classes for no cost. So anytime you see me teaching, you're always welcome to join, and there's online and in-person classes. So it's not dependent that you're here in Thailand. Where during the lifetime of the Buddha, you had to live in the same place as the Buddha in order to learn and practice his teachings. But nowadays, with modern technology, that's not the case. You can really learn from anywhere. We have 2 ongoing in-person and online programs. One is called the Group Learning Program, which is a 7-month program where each Sunday I go chapter by chapter in this first book over a 7-month period, helping you to learn. And I just recently restarted this program, so it's a great time for you guys to get into this program. It's on Sundays at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. And I teach it here at 9 a.m. and I live stream it. And I teach it at 9 p.m. at home and I live stream it. So depending on where you are in the world, you're going to need to look to see what time that is for you. If you're like in North, Central, or South America, that might be, Saturday evening and Sunday morning, or Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning. So you have to look at that. If you're in Europe, that might be like evenings on Sundays and Wednesdays, which would be ideal for you. So you're going to need to look at your time zone and see what that is for you. So Sunday and Wednesdays is when I teach the group learning program, and gradually walking you through just like an hour and a half each session, just gradually helping you to learn. And that's volume 1 of the book series. The Words of the Buddha, the Pali Canon and English Study Group, that's volumes 2 through 13. That once somebody's established a foundation in the group learning program, and sometimes people do that group learning program more than once, and they read this book many times. I've had some students tell me they read it 8 to 12 times. In this first book, they say they keep learning every time they read it. So that group learning program, people will really build a good, strong foundation, but then they move into the Words of the Buddha, Pali Canon and English Study Group, where we study the original words of the Buddha, volumes 2 through 13. And that takes about a year and a half to go through that. And sometimes people do that more than one time too. So there's lots of opportunity for you to consistently learn on an ongoing basis. And then it's one thing learning in all these classes, courses, and books and videos and all this stuff, but it's a whole other thing relating it to your individual challenges in your day-to-day life. And that's where personal discussions come in. That if you need help, you can always reach out to me and I will help you. You can ask questions in classes and I will help you by answering in classes. You can post in our Facebook group, which is this next one down here. You can post in our Facebook group and I'm the only one who answers it. You can send me a private message, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Line, email, things like this. Or you can schedule personal guidance where we can sit down in person and we can talk if we're in the same city. Or you can schedule online and then we'll meet in Zoom one-on-one. Because when you're out there in the world and your boss is putting demands on you, or your mom or dad are doing this, that, or the other thing, or you're trying to decide, certain aspects about your life, you might need help. I will never tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but I will teach you the teachings of the Buddha, and then the decision's up to you to make whatever decisions you would like to make. But you have somebody like a coach, like a life coach, or some people think of a Buddhist teacher as like a mentor or something like that. It's up to you how you think about it. I think of myself like a tour guide, that I'm just pointing out for you the things that you need to learn and grow and develop. And you're going to need somebody to help you, because it's one thing learning in class, but it's another thing relating it to your day-to-day challenges. And that's where the teachings really come to life, is being able to relate it to your day-to-day challenges. So these are all the different ways that you can get help and continue to learn and grow on the path, including our Facebook group. And sometimes people like to go in there, not only ask questions, but they read other people's questions and see the answers that I reply. And that's a way of learning as well. And sometimes people don't really do much else on Facebook. They just kind of open up an account. They put like a flower or a rainbow or something like that. And they just come into our group and they just kind of like learn through our group. They don't even post about themselves or anything like that. So if you're averse to Facebook and you're pushing it away, maybe you need to put your mind in that situation to be able to experience it. So that's a way that you can learn in the Facebook group too. So do you guys have any questions on any of this stuff? Remember, it's always offered at no cost for everybody. No expectation of anything in return. Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. Let me click. Boop. The group learning program is 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on Sunday and Wednesday, and the Pali Canon English Study Group is Saturday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our course here. Lots of claps. Are you clapping because it's over, or clapping that you learned so much? So we've come to the end of our course, and what I'll do is just end by thanking all of you guys that have been here all throughout, and even the ones who have joined us just for today. Welcome to all of you guys. Pleased that you guys are interested to learn any amount of the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha shares that if you understand even one sentence of his teachings, it's very good for your welfare and peacefulness for a very long time. So even if you just understand what is loving kindness and you start practicing more loving kindness in your day-to-day life, that is very good for your welfare and peacefulness for a very long time. But I'm sure some of you guys have understood more than just one sentence of the teachings of the Buddha, and that's where you'll just see a cascading effect of improvement in your day-to-day life. So as I've shared already in this course, I really admire people who choose to do this work, this inner work, to grow and develop and to become a better and better person, because it's really easy up front to show up to a building and do a bunch of rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship and just believe a bunch of things. But life is a lot harder afterwards because you haven't cultivated any wisdom to improve your life. But it's a lot challenging, more challenging to show up to a place like this where you need to learn about your ego and you need to learn about how to eliminate these unwholesome qualities in your mind and do this inner work and think about the things that are being shared. And it's very different than maybe what you've learned in other places. That's a lot more challenging up front. But then later, things get so much better because you've cultivated the wisdom to be able to improve your life. Your relationships become so much more fulfilling and satisfying. So I admire people that are willing to do that upfront work, because more and more you're becoming a better and better human being and you're causing less and less harm in the world. So thank you all for your interest to learn. Thank you for your willingness to come here and participate in learning the teachings of the Buddha. Thank you for being so kind and loving to each other. Thank you for any help or support that you've provided to allow me to share these teachings. If you've been taking out the trash or cleaning the bathrooms or vacuuming the carpets, or maybe you've offered some financial support to be able to pay for electric and water and all the things that we do in order to be able to share these teachings with you at no cost, because we share them at no cost, but it does cost money for us to be able to share the teachings. So if you've chosen to support what we do here in any way, I'd like to just say thank you. Thank you so much for your support, and you're always welcome to come learn here without any expectation of anything in return from you. So thank you for your dedication to learning and growing and becoming a better and better person. As you need more help, just feel free to reach out. I'm here to help you. And I just really appreciate that you guys have decided that you would like to learn and you trust me enough and have confidence enough in me to be able to learn from me. So thank you for all of that. So we're officially done. And if there's anything you guys would like help with, you're welcome to come and ask me. If anybody would like to kind of spruce up the classroom a little bit, although it's been taken care of all the way through the week, there's been different people. I don't know that there's a whole lot to do here, but if you guys would like to kind of make the classroom a little bit nicer for the next group that comes in, we can do a little bit of a cleaning and stuff like that. If you guys would like to go have lunch together, we can kind of organize going to a restaurant and sitting down and having some food with each other. That's an option as well. But whatever you choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day, and perhaps we'll see you next time. Sawadee Kap. Sawadee Kap. Sawadee Kap.